Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Okay, doctors, what I want to talk about today is why does anybody think it's hard to market for personal injury patients? It's not hard to market for personal injury patients. The key thing is you got to have a message. What is your message? And then you have to have frequency and consistency of that messaging. So, there's different messages, right? So you have messages that go to attorneys. Let's say you want to go out to attorneys. What is your message to attorneys? Why should an attorney choose you over somebody else? If I have a bus load, people were just hit in a bus and they're in a bus accident, and I'm calling a chiropractor, I'm a law firm, and I say, hey, I'm looking for a chiropractor in your area. I've got 10 patients to send over. I'm going to make about 4 phone calls to 4 local chiropractors, and I just want to know, why should we choose you? What are you going to say? I mean, you got 2 minutes, 3 minutes to say something. What are you going to say? So you need to look at that. If a person in the market right now, if somebody's injured in an auto accident, why would they choose your clinic? What is your message that your clinic puts out to the public? And when are you messaging? So a lot of doctors don't realize that they have a massive amount. So there are doctors that come into my program, and if you're just sitting out here, I want you to think with, how many people can you digitally communicate with? Right now, if you wanted to digitally communicate, how many people would it be? There are offices that have 10 and 20,000 people. There are offices that have 1,000 people. So for every 1,000 patients you have 110 injury incidents about in that database every year. If you have 10,000, do the math, that's 1,200. Right? If you have, if you have 1,000, it's 120. If you have 10,000, it's 1,200. If you have 20,000, it's 2,400. Right? Now I know that in my estimation, I look at it and I say, why don't practices promote their injury work? And the first thing I look at, the first thing I think of, if you're not promoting your injury work, is that you're not that solid with it. You're not that certain about, hey, any patient in my community should be coming into my clinic because I'm going to give them a serious reduction in risk and give them a much better shot at long-term physical recovery. You got to remember, when people are injured, when they injure their spine, 55% or more never fully recover. So if I'm good at treating, if I said to you right now, doctor, hey, you know what, 95% of the people that you take in, no matter what their previous experience is, what their past history is, how many accidents they've had before, how much they've injured their spine before, what kind of dormant pre-existing conditions they have. If you said, if you were highly certain that 90% of the time you could get 90% or more of the time, you could get unbelievable results with these patients, why in the world wouldn't you be marketing it? Why in the world wouldn't you be talking to people about it? Why would you actually let the people in your local area suffer? Why would you let them go to other providers and suffer? That's the thing that just blows my mind. So marketing a personal injury practice is not hard. It's actually really easy, but you have to do it. That's the hard part. You have to do it. And then if you don't understand what your message is, you don't have a concise message that you can go to the public with, no matter who that public is. Let's say that public is people who are injured. Let's say it's people who aren't injured. Let's say it's to attorneys. Let's say it's to other doctors, allied professionals. Let's say it's to the insurance company itself. Let's say it's to employers. Let's say it's to unions. What is your message? Like, why should a union decide, hey, if I'm in a local plumbers union and I have, 1,000 members in my city, 10,000 members in this city, like, why should we recommend you? What are you going to do for a plumber that's going to extend his life, that's going to extend his career, that's going to make life easier for him or her? What are you going to do? So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a message. You got to know, what is your message? And that's a little bit of internal Like, how good are you at treating these? If you're not good at treating these, good, get better at treating them. The one thing I love about injury work is the more you understand injuries, the more you understand everything else you're working on. Because pretty much, if you say misalignment of the spine, how do you misalign the spine without traumatizing it? They knew back in 1915 that you couldn't misalign a spine without traumatizing it. So trauma is the key to misalignment of the spine. The more you understand trauma and the more you understand the effects of that, the more you understand everything that you're doing as a chiropractor. You understand everything more. If you can develop a large injury practice, you can develop a large headache practice, you can develop a large chronic pain practice. And guess what, doctors? When you understand how to do this, you can also develop a large wellness practice. You know, I hear a lot of providers say, well, you know, when I look at their clinic may advertise or promote, hey, Kronk Wellness Center, Kronk Chiropractic and Wellness Center. And that's the name. And I think, okay, so what is wellness? Most people are confused about wellness. Most people do not start in a chiropractic practice for wellness. I only in 17 years of private practice only had one patient ever come in and say, hey, I heard regular chiropractic is good for a person who's a yoga instructor, he did a lot of other things, very healthy person. Didn't have any complaints, came in, said, look, I heard regular chiropractic is very good for someone. I'd like to start and just, I don't have anything that I'm trying to work on, but I'd like you to do an evaluation of my spine. We'll work on whatever, and then I want to do routine chiropractic care. Once in my whole career did I ever have anybody do that. Most people don't start at wellness. They don't come in to buy wellness. They don't come in and say, well, I'm going to pay a lot of money to avoid something that I'm not even sure if I'm going to get. They don't do that. What they do is they come in with some sort of chronic condition that they want help with. Most of the chronic condition, when it boils down to the spine, comes to a trauma. Now, patients don't have to remember that trauma, but it does, you have to understand that. Now, what is your message? So if I want to go out to promote what we do in my practice, in my injury practice, let's say I'm going out to the public. What am I going to promote? I'm going to promote fast, effective results. You know, one of the things, the biggest thing that we promote is a full recovery. Fast and effective results. We don't miss injuries. We get to the root cause of the condition. We just don't treat your symptoms. We get to the root injury that's causing the condition, and that's what we rehabilitate. And we're very good with it. If you have a spine injury and it causes any sort of mild traumatic brain injury symptoms, we're very good at reducing those from the spinal aspect if the spine is what's causing them. So for those of you that have chronic pain, one of the things, the reason why you have chronic pain is you're not working with a doctor that's gotten down to the cause of your condition. And that's what we treat. I mean, I could go on and on. The messaging for an attorney, good. We treat the serious injuries that are found in MRI and the even more serious injuries that are not. We also treat the main injury that causes people who have mild traumatic brain injuries to have, oftentimes to delay recovery from their symptoms. Good. We're also really, for an attorney, let's talk about the attorney, right? The serious injuries that are not picked up on MRI are, one, the thing that you'll get when you have a negative MRI. Good, I just gave the attorney, if I have a negative MRI, I should listen to this guy. There are also the patients or the clients that you have that are not recovering, that are spending a lot of money, they're doing a lot of work and they're doing a lot of treatment, but they're not getting better because they're not working with a doctor that understands this condition. Also, the majority of the patient's symptoms do not correlate to a disc herniation, and if that's all you have an incomplete injury evaluation. We make sure that doesn't happen in our office. We also make sure that the main injury associated with the spine that can go hand in hand with any sort of mild traumatic brain injury is picked up, identified, and treated properly. Do you realize that when you get great results, it helps attorneys to resolve the claim faster? They like it. It's what they're after. So if you're out there trying to promote, oh my gosh, well, here's what we do. We increase claim value. When I hear that, whenever I hear a doctor going out to attorneys and saying, hey, we increase claim value, I got a smile on my face. You might as well promote, we get shitty results. Because that's what increases claim value long term, is getting crappy results. That's what does it. So if you're out there promoting, hey, we can increase your claim value, essentially what you're saying to somebody like me, you're saying, hey, we can increase, we don't get that great of results. So patients treat a lot, and at the end they have a lot of problems, and those problems mean that they require a lot of benefit and benefit attention. And if you need a patient that goes through our treatment and needs a lot of benefits, man, we're your clinic. See how it sounds? So the long-term approach to marketing is frequency and consistency of messaging. What is the message? Think about it. If you're injured, you injured your shoulder, you injured your elbow, you injured your knee, you injured your neck, you injured your head, you injured your brain, you injured your heart. I don't care. Think about what you injured. What do you want? What are you looking for? You injured your neck. You say, well, hell, you know what I'd like to have? I'd like to have migraine headaches for the rest of my life so I can get a $27,000 insurance settlement. I don't think so. So I can get a $4,000 insurance settlement. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think you're looking at it and saying, yeah, I'd like to have migraine headaches for the rest of my life. As a matter of fact, I'd like the kind where I get an aura and I throw up once or twice a month. I don't think so. Hey, I'd like to have chronic neck pain every day. I'd like to feel it burdening me. Hey, you know, when I'm adjusting my patient, by the end of the day, I'm bent over the table so much that, man, my neck goes into spasm because it just can't handle it anymore. And I'd like that as a result from my care. I don't think so. Hey, I'd like to have chronic low back pain. As a result, every time I go out to do something, I'm laid up for a day or two. That's what I'd like my end result of my injury treatment in your clinic to be. I don't think so. Right? Now, here's the cool part. That's what you're competing with in the market, though. There's a lot of doctors that go out and try to do that stuff. And I personally love it when I hear it because I would be the antithesis of it. That's the part of the market that I don't like. And that's the part that I'm going to differentiate myself from. And that's the part that I help doctors all across the country differentiate themselves from. Results matter. Marketing matters. Nobody's going to know you're there if you don't market. And if you have a good product and service and you basically are not marketing it, then I look and say, I gotta start to wonder if you believe in the product. Right? Because if you knew that 90% of the time you're going to get a fantastic result, why wouldn't you market it? Well, if you 100% knew you had this pen-like device and all you did is put it on the spine, and 95% of the time, I don't care if it took 20, 30, or 40, or 60 visits, I don't care. If after that time, there was a 90% success rate on this person does not really have an issue with this, and yes, we may need to maintain it every 3 months, every 4 months, every 6 months. We might need to put this pen-like thing back on your spine to maintain your results. You would go out there and you'd be like, you couldn't market it heavy enough. So if that's not where you are in the injury space, that's where you want to get to on the injury space. And the first step starts with just understanding the simplicity of the injuries. The majority of the market does not understand the simplicity of spinal injuries. They don't understand what they look like. They can't even say what they look like. And that's the first step to getting much better results. So doctors, marketing, got to have a message, and then you got to be frequent and consistent with it. And you can't be jumping all over the place. You can't be marketing this thing and marketing that. You got to be consistent with it. You know, to those 10,000 patients you have in your database, put out a communication maybe every other month about injuries and what you do for injuries. Even more ideally, put something out monthly. Put something out every other week. Right? Today, it's so easy to write articles. You got ChatGPT. It's so easy to write articles. So the bottom line, though, is you need to stay frequent and consistent with what you're doing. You don't jump. That's like jumping from one training coach to another coach to another coach to another coach, and all of a sudden you're doing something different. And you never do anything long enough to let it have an effect. Remember, an injury practice is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And it shouldn't be based on schemes or gimmicks. It should be based on the understanding and the underlying principles of the injuries themselves and what is the best thing to do for those injuries. Because once you understand that, documentation is not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. So, doctors, if you like what I said, you want to check us out at Smart Injury Doctors. Go to www.smartinjurydoctors.com. If you want to call us at 800-940-6513. If you want to take a look at our program, just give us a call. Email us, Dr. Cronk at smartinjurydoctors.com, and I'll set up a viewing. You can see our program, no problem. Doctors, as always, short, sweet, to the point. I hope you got something from this, and I appreciate what you do every single day.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review and don't forget to join us on our next program.